Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin hasn't really moved. I would like to do something a little bit different in this video because Bitcoin is just moving sideways at the moment. Of course, we take a look at the Bitcoin price as well. But what I wanted to do is to repeat something that I did many weeks ago. I couldn't find the original video anymore. Waste of time to go through all the videos, but we want to do it again and show what actually happened. So some of you who have been with me will know that I did this, and I had a few questions in the comments to repeat that just to see how it developed. So looking at the Bitcoin chart, what I did the last time was, I think we were just down here, or we were just coming up. That was sort of early in February. I was copying a fractal after the last bull run that was end of 2018, just to show you how the waves move very similar, because as you know, the markets always move in waves and the markets always move in the same waves typically, especially within an asset class. So within Bitcoin, for example, the waves normally move the same, because as soon as Bitcoin has, or as soon as an asset class, could be anything, could be an Apple stock, and an Apple share, could be gold, whatever. Whenever they have adopted a behavior, they normally stick to that behavior throughout their entire lifetime, and they are going to, in a certain wave, go to the same Fib levels and so on. So I found it quite interesting at the time to copy a fractal from the last bull run, from the end of the last bull run, copy it into this chart and see if it actually matches what is happening here in this whole, in this current price action. So I did that. What I did is I went all the way back to here, end of 2018. So I copied from here, from December 2017, from the peak all the way to the low here, I believe, to that December 18 low. And we're going to take a look at what actually happened. So I copied that already, moved it up here. I'm going to move it down here, and then we're going to take a look at how that all matches. So as you can see already, it looks very similar to what the price is doing. So it's honestly, it is so similar. You can see this here, before I overlay it, you can see this is obviously the peak here. Had I copied a little bit more from the left side, you would have seen this sort of M pattern up here. But anyway, copy that, then you come down. That first low is basically what we did back here in, zoom a little bit in, is what we did here back in, now we see it better. What we did back in December 21, so that low here around 43,000, what I have labeled as a wave 3. Then we've come up here. This is what I have labeled as a wave 4 at the moment. So this is the 52K. This is what we did here. So just to look at the fractal. Then we came down once more, made a lower low. Now, okay, here we haven't made a lower low on that chart, but honestly very close. This was the low on the 24th of January. Also on the fractal you can see a significant low. And then we moved up, and all of this is very similar to what we do now here. This whole, do you see that W pattern here? Look at the W pattern here. Look at what we do currently here. When I zoom in, look at that W, how it looks exactly the same in this channel. So just to draw that in, you've got the W here, and no, I didn't want to do that. And if I bring that in, come on, if I bring that in, you can see the W here as well. And then you're coming up, and my view would be that we're currently here. Sort of, you've got this, and then you're coming down. You came down here as well, and then we're coming up a little bit, made a lower high though, and that would be in line with my expectations currently, that we go a little bit higher in that green target area. And I go into the little price moves in a minute, but then actually, and that's probably not good, and that will bore everybody to death, bleeding out, bleeding out. But in the end we would get into the target area. But of course, not saying it's gonna work out, but it is quite striking to see how these fractals, if you choose the right ones, obviously, because, you know, there are various YouTube channels showing all kinds of fractals, but yeah, it doesn't always work out. But if you found one that really matches, yeah, it's just interesting to observe. So obviously fractals are interesting, and especially if it goes over a long period. And you can see, because all of this the first half of all of this has basically worked out perfectly. So let's just add it, overlay it here. And bear in mind, they never work out 100% because obviously this is just within the volatility. But if we overlay that now, you can see we obviously moved up here. That was the all-time high. Then we came down in that wave 3 here. Yeah. So basically here. Then we moved up again. Came down in that W pattern here in the channel so what I find so interesting is this channel. You could draw the channel as well in this fractal here. Oh no, not the arrow, but we are sort of moving in this channel also in the fractal. So I found that really, really interesting. So not 100%, but in the fractal you would have done something like that. Yeah, so you can overlay it quite in some sort of a range as well. And we came up, obviously, so this little peak here, I mean, again, it doesn't match 100%, but because there's a bit of a time lag, obviously. It doesn't obviously all run in the same time period, but when we came down here, so I moved that a little bit, you had the low here. The important thing is that the waves, it moves in the same waves. So you came down strong, moved down, came up, correction, you moved down again, yeah, low. Then you moved up again. Here you have a peak on the fractal as well. Yeah. Then we moved down and I can overlay it perfectly over that W pattern here. Then we had this wave 4 peak. Yeah. And now we are coming down to the low of the channel again. We then in the fractal, and that would be what would happen next according to the fractal. If I zoom in a little bit now. So again, it's a bit difficult because it's not 100%, but so obviously we came down as well in the fractal here. And then we moved up a little bit again. Yeah, so again, my view as well at the moment is that we move up a little bit higher here into the green target area. And then that we are going to move out of the channel to the downside and see where we would land. Yeah, we would land in that yellow target area. Now, I find that quite interesting. I will leave that fractal here on the chart. I will put it somewhere aside and then we can keep tracking it. Again, not saying it works. It's not really a something that we would normally use to analyze a chart, but it is something that can give you a hint about what the chart might do next, because as I said, markets move in waves. So found it quite interesting that in the end we would actually land in that target area. So yeah, quite interesting. And this is obviously what I still expect here. When we made our wave 3 here, came up in a wave 4, and that we are somewhere here, I would need to label 1, 2, because if this is now not the alternative anymore, but it's getting live again, that yellow one here, what I labeled as alternative, I would need to find the alternative 1, 2 here as well, but that's all fine. We did that before. I just took it off the chart not to overwhelm it. So we had our wave 3, 4, 5. So yeah, and this is what I would expect. But then in this last wave 5, what I would expect is that here, because every wave 5 consists of 5 waves as well. So we already have here our wave 1, 2, 3, 4 could already be complete, but I think we go a little bit higher in line with the fractal as well, that we go a little bit higher in that wave 4 target area to reach the 38.2% Fibonacci retracement. That would be the ideal retracement for a wave 4. Therefore, I have to assume that we go a little bit higher because it would just be the ideal retracement, okay? But the minimum is already done, so we could already turn around, don't get me wrong, and we would then end down here somewhere, hopefully. The alternative, of course, because I'm not making the charts, don't forget, there is always a bullish and a bearish alternative. So the bullish or the more bullish alternative would be that we start to move up from here, are going to break out of the channel to the upside. The minimum we would need to do in that wave count then, that would be a high level wave B, would be the 51K level highlighted in green here. And if we manage to break that, then we would get into this area here between 55 and 65K. So that is what the wave 5 could do. The minimum though is 51K. Yeah, that is what a wave B could do. From here we would then turn around as well. So my view is, in any scenario that we break into this yellow target area, that is the target where our sailboat is going to sail into, in my opinion, with the alternative obviously that we go a little bit higher first and then come down. I hope this is not going to happen, because it is taking much longer if that happens. Yeah, my wish and hope would be that we do the sell-off straight away and we'll get just a bit of a capitulation phase in, and we'll then turn around and can accumulate again and move to new all-time highs. I think we haven't seen that capitulation yet. A lot of people still too bullish on Bitcoin, far too bullish. Yeah, and I think even when we hit that that low here back in December, or even here in January, people were still too bullish. And you normally, in any market cycle, you need to see that capitulation phase. So yeah, that is what I'm waiting for. Also waiting for that lower low compared to that wave A. Yeah, back in June, you typically, in such a expanded flat pattern, you would make a lower low. So waiting for that as well. And yeah, it just means a bit of patience. Obviously, bear in mind, there are always two alternatives. And I think as soon as we break above that channel here, obviously the other one goes live. For now, I stick with this one here, that we go down straight away. And don't forget, TA is no license to print money. It can obviously move differently, but we can only use indicators like moving averages, even like the Elliott Wave method. They are only guides that can help us understand where the markets might move. They are not 100% working all the time, like any indicator, right? But TA works because everybody worldwide is using it. So it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy as well. Elliott Wave is a bit different because not too many people use it, and because it is more related to measuring the sentiment in the market. And so it's not that obvious as, for example, a moving average, as a support line, as a resistance line, and so on. So therefore, I like to use it. But again, it's no license to print money. It can work differently. It has worked out so far. We moved obviously down here. That wave 3, we talked about that back then already since November. Then we moved up. Now that has taken longer than expected, but we had that move up, and we reached that wave 4 area. As we said when we came down here in that wave 3, we expected a move up. That happened, but that it takes that long, I didn't expect. But again, I always say Elliott Waves don't allow you to talk about how long something takes. Yeah, and now I would just wait for that last wave down. So I think first 4 waves have worked out, just waiting for the last wave now. So all right, so hopefully you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then check out the channel membership. And if you really like the content as well, then make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget, there is today a live stream for channel members. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.